Hey Bagmaker, I'm Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Social Sunday, my weekly sewing chat. Hey everyone, welcome to Social Sunday. Thanks so much for joining me. And as you can see, Danny will be joining me on set in just a minute. He usually likes to make sure the technology is running correctly on Facebook or YouTube. I see Robbie is watching from over on YouTube. Becky's watching from Colorado, and Judy from Kentucky. So I'm really excited because tonight will be the addition of a brand new segment called Bag Lab. I'll tell you some more about that in a little bit. One of my ideas that woke me up in the middle of the night, as the good ideas often do. So until Danny joins me in a second, I wanted to share with you this really great soup that I made today. I'm a really big fan of soups because, number one, it's really easy to make just one batch of the soup and then have extras left over for freezing. So I usually freeze mine in this tray called Super Cubes, and I use the 1 cup trays, which are just enough for servings of soup. And so usually I can get, depending on what kind of soup I'm making, 4 to 12 extra servings of soup to freeze. And so today I made this soup. It's called roasted butternut squash and pear soup with candied pepitas, which are pumpkin seeds. And it sounded intriguing. I wasn't sure about the butternut squash, is a little bit sweet, so obviously are the pears. So I'll hold the book up for you. Hopefully it'll pick up the picture. So that's what the soup looked like. As you can see, it's a creamy soup, but there's no dairy in it, so I guess technically it's would be considered a vegan soup. It's from this book I have, cookbook called Two Peas in Their Pod Cookbook, and it took a little bit of extra time compared to other soups I've made in the past, but it was a really great 50-50 split of savory and sweet, so it was really great. I did the pepitas, you kind of create like a candy brittle almost with them and a little bit of sugar, and I was breaking up the brittle, and I didn't realize I cut my thumb in 2 places while I was breaking it up. And while I was eating my soup, I was like, oh, I must have got soup on my fingers because it feels kind of sticky. And then I looked at my, no problem, and then I looked at my hand later after I'd finished the soup, and like my hand was all red. So clearly I'd injured myself breaking up the brittle. I see it right over there. Sorry, we're missing our laptop over here for Danny. Sorry about that, Danny. Anyway, the soup was really delicious, and I always like trying new things. I usually like to write, if I haven't printed the recipe online, I usually like to write in the cookbook what I thought about the soup and when I made it, just because sometimes when I look back through the book, if I hadn't made a recipe in a while, I can't remember, did I make this before? Did I like it? I mean, it sounds good, but so I usually like to write little notes in my cookbooks so that I can try the recipes again. Hello, Danny.
Sorry, it's one more time.
In and out, in and out. Let's see. What else can I talk about for 1 second till Danny's joining me? So today we're going to be talking about, for Bag Lab, which is a new section, I guess I'll discuss, I was going to discuss it a little bit later, but I guess I'll discuss the main core idea behind Bag Lab, and then we'll get into my Bag Lab segment later. But I really love answering live questions on Sewcial Sunday, but the thing about the live question format is because Danny's posting the questions for me live, I don't know what the questions are ahead of time, and I'm seeing them for the first time when the questions are being posted on the screen. And so I am usually giving a concise answer to the question because it is a live show and there's usually other questions that I'm anticipating answering. And because it's live, I usually don't have a lot of time to think about my answer. I have to sort of be quick at the draw. And oftentimes with things that you can think through, or if there's something that I can prepare to present for the show, I can often prepare either a live video, a pre-taped video, photographs, or other instructions. So that's the core idea behind Bag Lab. I wanted to answer particular questions in greater detail. So types of questions that I'm looking for future Bag Lab segments. thoughts on choosing fabrics for a particular Sew Sweetness project, what fabrics I might choose for that project and why. If you finished your Sew Sweetness bag, but there's a spot in the bag that you'd like to do better, maybe advice on pressing, fitting issues or puckers, the zipper was challenging to sew or another aspect of the pattern was challenging, send a photo of the spot in question. If you were thinking of modifying a particular Sew Sweetness pattern and you want advice on how to do that, for instance, you have a certain item that you want to place in a particular bag, but you don't know how to change the pattern to fit your item. If you have particular questions about your sewing machine, why does my machine do this and how do I fix it? General bag making questions or a question about a notion or tool. Anything else I might have missed, such as if you have questions about me, questions about my sewing history, questions about how or why I do a particular thing. Other questions can certainly be turned in, but those are just some examples. And so the full details are in the comments on how to submit your question, and I will be collecting questions depending on the amount of Bag Lab emails I get. I might not be able to discuss all of the issues on the show, so if you have a question that's urgent, you'll want to either email me or post your question in the Facebook group. So full instructions on how to participate in Bag Lab if you have a question or an idea for a segment. All of that is in the description, and those will be submitted via email. So we'll get to the Bag Lab segment a little bit later on in the show. Before that, I wanted to show you. So last Sunday, I shared.
I'm getting a lot of love for my shirt.
Oh.
I'll do it tomorrow when they ask am I a procrastinator, and I'll put it right here. I'm quite the procrastinator. I put the pro in procrastinator.
What are the things you commonly procrastinate about, do you think?
That's a tough one. Serious stuff I try to do right away, to be honest. I've learned as through my teenage years, I would homework, any reports, you name it, I would do it the day before, stay up all night and finish it. I learned from that if we have any appointments anywhere, I am always early, and sometimes not everyone's on the same page as I am about being early to places.
I like to be early. Like for doctor's appointments you're talking about?
Anything, parties, dinner, anything. I'm generally the first one there. I like to be no problems because you never have traffic and all this kind of stuff. I like to be the person that's punctual now. Mm-hmm. But procrastinating, I'm 100%. If I have to do something, I want to put it off to the last minute, but I try not to.
You mean like cleaning or like
anything? You name it. If I got to do an oil change in a car, if I got to send something back for a return, unless I tell myself, hey, do this, I'll try to put off.
Yeah, I totally get that. Last Sunday I shared the Alaska rainbow quilt that I finished, and I don't have the picture for you, but it basically looks like this. So I said I was going to make the quilt again with brighter colors and a black background. So Danny's going to put a picture up on the screen.
What is this?
The fabrics that I had cut in the little bags. So I cut out all of the pieces needed for the new quilt. So here's all my pieces labeled in bags, blocks 1 through 13, and most of the blocks you make 4 times. So just wanted to share that progress. It literally took me a week's worth of time to cut out all those fabrics because it's a lot. But this is a leisurely project for the next couple of months. My free time, or selfish sewing if you would like to call it that. And also, I did share this picture on Instagram the other day, but in case you missed it, a picture of Smudge that I also wanted to share. Smudge is...
I'll share Smudge, but hold on, there's a great comment about being on time. My husband says, early, you're on time, you're late. I agree 1,000% with that.
I like that a lot. That's a really good one.
We'll lead into Smudge now. Here you go.
So I leased Smudge for 3 years before I bought Olive, and so we're great partners. And
that was too quick. Smudge deserves a little more.
He was on stall rest a little bit the second half of the year, so I've been spending time with him 20 minutes a day before I get Olive ready, and I had this idea recently to start reading aloud to him. So I picked out a book with a horse as a main character, and I go in his stall. I read out loud for however long I feel like, and he's been licking the book. I think he likes me reading to him because he started grooming the top of my hair. He's on a restricted diet from the vet, and so I I am allowed now to give him a couple treats when I visit him, so he's ecstatic about that. But it's just been, at first I was a little embarrassed because I'm in the stall. I hope nobody can hear me because I'm reading out loud to a horse, but I kind of like it, and I know he likes it too. So I just wanted to share that cute picture of him the other day. So, all right, now we're going to get into Bag Lab. I already explained the basic details of it. Again, the full details are in the description in case you'd like to read or in case you'd like to find instructions on how to submit. I received an email from Elaine for tonight's topic of Bag Lab, and I pre-recorded the video since we had to go down to the basement to do that. And so Danny's going to play this first segment for Bag Lab. Hey everybody, today on Bag Lab we are in my basement for a question from Elaine. Elaine sent me this email for Bag Lab. She said, "Hi Sarah, I could really use some help with fabric storage. Currently I have everything in clear plastic tubs, but it gets wrinkled and I really don't know what I have, so I just buy more. I have a storage closet that I plan to use just for fabric. I'd like to fold all my fabrics on the comic book boards. I watched your video and it was very helpful. My question pertains to the type of shelving system you use. Could you possibly share the name of the system and possibly a photo or two? Thank you so much, Elaine." So Elaine, I completely understand what you mean about the plastic tubs with the lids. I previously stored my fabric in those huge plastic tubs. You could see through the bottom half, but seeing all of the fabrics, especially the ones that are in the bottom, rifling through them every time I had to go look for fabric, it would make a huge mess. And so I really didn't ever want to venture into the tubs. It was just such a hassle. And so, as you've mentioned, I would just keep buying more. We are in my basement right now because when we moved into this house, I decided I'd rather keep the studio, which is upstairs, a little bit neater. And I thought perhaps keeping the fabric in the basement would be a better idea so that while I'm going through fabric, I don't have to have the mess left behind in my actual working area. So that's where we are now. I have, as you can see, all of my fabric is folded onto comic book boards. And by the way, I have a free video either on my website or on my YouTube channel showing how to fold fabric onto comic book boards. I buy these packs of 100 of the 7" by 10.5" boards. And if you check out my free video about the comic book boards, the link to the boards as well as these plastic alligator clips. I use these plastic alligator clips, let me turn that around, so that it holds the fabric on the boards. As I'm going through stacks of fabric, everything stays nice and neat and organized, and I can just sort of like thumb through the fabrics looking for the ones that I want. I can kind of visually see the fronts of the fabrics, but sometimes your memory doesn't serve you for what exactly that color of fabric means. So I can easily thumb through those fabrics. I use IKEA Billy bookcases. Also, the link is in the description to the IKEA Billy bookcase. Comes in 3 different finishes. I have 3 Billy bookcases. I was contemplating getting a 4th because I'm starting to run out of room, but then I thought rather than adding a 4th bookcase and continuing to accumulate fabric, I thought I would stop at the 3 bookcases, and whatever I didn't have room for, I either needed to use that fabric for giveaways, use it for another purpose. Everything new coming in had to sort of replace something else so that I didn't keep adding more and more fabric to my stash. So me personally, I keep my fabric organized 3 different categories. So either by fabric designer, by theme of fabric, or by color. So I use all 3 depending on different situations. So this last bookcase over here, this is all Tula Pink fabrics. As you can see, I have a lot of Tula Pink in my stash, and I keep them organized by Tula Pink's fabric lines. So for instance, this is her recent Curiouser and Curiouser fabrics. Foxfield is over here, and I try my best to keep them organized by colors, the Roy G. Biv family. So as you can see, Roy G. Biv going down. I don't keep myself held to that too closely, just in case sometimes I have odds and ends that I need to stick in a different stack, but for the most part, that's what I do with the Tula Pink fabrics. Over here, I have, for example, the stack over here is Rifle Paper Company. I have some Allison Glass on this top shelf, and then themed fabrics. For instance, this stack over here is Animal Fabrics. I have a few stacks of horse fabrics, Disney fabrics are on the center section is either monochromatic fabrics, or I will eventually be putting my solids over here. So I wanted to talk about the monochromatic fabrics for a second, such as Grunge fabrics, Grunge polka dots, Juicy Juice Spectrastatic. Those are really good. I like using those for linings so that I don't necessarily have to match the same fabric line of my exterior fabric to the lining. I just choose my exterior fabric, and then I go over to my monochromatic fabrics and choose, for example, a Grunge that will match the fabric in my exterior fabric. So that's a good way to match your exterior and lining without having to have so much extra fabric in your stash. And I haven't got it set up yet, but my solid fabrics, which I like to use for quilts, I'm working on reorganizing this section, so that'll eventually be solids. And I previously kept my solid fabrics in a wire basket by color. So for instance, I had a wire basket for all of the green solids, I had one for all of the yellow solids, and so on. And because of the way they were folded in the basket, it's kind of the same situation as the plastic bins with the lids. I had to sort of dig through even though the wire bins are quite small, I had to dig through them when looking for colors. They were folded, but while I dug through them, they got unorganized. Most of them were not labeled by color. And so what I'm working on now is getting my Kona solids wrapped on the comic book boards. I use Kona solids as well as solids from other manufacturers. And what I'm actually planning on doing is actually writing, I know you can't see the text from here, but here's the comic book board in the middle, and I'm actually writing the color name on the board so that I know when I start to run low on a particular color, I can easily replenish it by just looking at the board and then going online to order more fabrics. And so I think this will help me. I've noticed I've been reordering solids upon solids, and then I go look in my stash and I see a solid that I just ordered. And so I think this will be really helpful. Like I said, I'm still working on this. I just started last week, but this bottom half of the middle shelf will eventually be Kona solids. And I just think the comic book boards are a really excellent way to organize your stash. And I like that everything stays neat and tidy on the boards with the help of those plastic alligator clips. So as you can see, here's my stash. I didn't really do any tidying up. This is just what it normally looks like. Normally I do have some stacks of fabric on the floor, but as I was mentioning earlier, I'm working on sort of containing the stash so it's only just the 3 bookshelves worth. So thanks again for your question, Elaine, and this has been Bag Lab. So I hope you enjoyed that look at my fabric stash. It is perhaps a little embarrassing having all that fabric, but there were a few questions that came in about that particular segment. So Danny's been collecting them. He's going to put them on the screen just so we could get those answered. Kate wants to know, any issue with dust? I haven't particularly noticed. Obviously the fabrics underneath the top comic book board bundle of fabric will...
I honestly think because it's our basement, it's in a room that's not open to other areas, and I believe dust is a big, like your skin, I think, creates dust. So in areas where people are, we don't generally go in this area often. So Sarah may go in there once a week at most, and it's for a limited amount of time. So I think that's where it really keeps the dust down personally.
Oh, I never thought of it that way. Yeah, that particular room is in an unfinished part of our basement. So like Danny said, we really never go there. I only go there if I'm looking for fabric. That's my mom. My mom says I'm coming to shop at your house.
Happy birthday to Sarah's father. Just turned 75
No, he didn't.
On Friday. I mean, 66. Close enough, right, Bob?
Let's see. Trisha says, how do you know how much fabric is on each board? I find it difficult to remember whether I have 1 or more yards when deciding which fabric to use for patterns. That's a great question. So if you are using the comic book boards, you could always write on the board how much is on that particular board. And because the board is such a big piece, as you reuse the board, you could just cross out what you've written, or if you write it in a pencil, you can erase it. Generally, I'm buying... Probably 90% of the time I'm buying 1-yard pieces, so I'm usually pretty confident that when I'm going to grab a board, there's a 1-yard piece on it. Cindy says, how tall are you, or how tall are the shelving units? So I'm 5'2" Danny looked up the measurements while we were watching that video play. What was the height of the
79.5, so about 80 inches.
80 inches for the Billy bookcase by itself? And IKEA does sell extensions, which means like one extra section, which you can put on top. We did in our old house, I did have the extensions up, one extension for each bookcase. When we moved to this house, the basement height was, the ceiling height was too low, so I couldn't use the extensions. I still have them, but they're not being in use in that particular video. And Diana says, Sarah, what is the normal amount of fabric you purchase for your stash? So 1 yard.
90% of your time, 1 yard, right?
Yeah, 90% of the time, 1 yard. There's a few fabrics that I really love that I might buy 2 or 3 yards. If there's a fabric that I'm not sure about, I just sort of feel like okay about, or if I intend to use it for a pouch, then I'll buy a half yard. Terry says, how long do you think it will take you to use all that fabric for your projects? That's a tough call. I used to be better about working through fabric before I designed sewing patterns when I was just sewing. But now the writing of the patterns and the preparing of the website, all that takes time too. So not as fast as I used to be, certainly. Manalia says, Sarah, which pattern is the blue bag with pink flowers behind your right? My right. Blue bag with pink flowers. Oh, this one right here. This is the Starling bag. It has the side zippers over here. Actually, hold up on the questions because
I didn't change it.
we still have I think that's gonna fall. I'm just gonna put this over here. We still have. Did you pick your pick of the week this week? Or
Yeah.
You did. Okay. Before we get over to that.
Well, this is still about your collection stuff. That one I
Oh,
just
it
threw
is.
in 'cause
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Question: when you pull and use a particular piece from a collection, do you then reorder it? That's a good question. I currently don't. What I currently do is it just goes. I have a little pile behind me on the floor of things I've recently used or things I'm ready to use for bags or things that I changed my mind about. So those are waiting to get put back onto comic book boards. And when they go back in the basement, generally I just take a new stack down there and sort of fill it in the best I can. So generally it's not going in the exact same place it came from unless it's in one of my fabric designer stacks, something like that, if I would like to put it back into color order. But I'm not too particular about reordering things because I just don't make the time for something like that, I suppose.
Yep, my pick of the week.
Hang on one second.
Oh, dang.
Let's invite all the bag makers to stand proud. Let us know in the comments that you're part of the Sew Sweetness Squad. I really appreciate you watching our show. I'm ecstatic that I think this year is going to be 6 years of doing the live show. Like, I can't even believe it in my head when I think about it. So thank you so much for allowing us to continue to produce Sewcial Sunday for you. So, all right, now we can get over to your pick of the week. Actually, I haven't seen your pick yet, so it will be a surprise to me as well.
All right, my pick of the week is Amber McLean. I saw this Sheffield tool bag. Gosh, it had to be after the last show I was on, and I was in the Facebook group. I took it right away. I loved the picture. I'm going to show it again. It was so wonderful. I just loved it. I mean, I thought this would be a bag I could use for my electronic stuff. If I want a little tool bag to be fixing something, going somewhere, that would be something I'd grab and go literally. Wonderful job. I thought it was awesome.
Great
I just had
job.
to take it, and I put it in my folder right away, and I'm like, this is a winner. I'm not even going to look anymore.
It turned out amazing, and I love the picture with the tools inside. On the tool bench, right? Is that a tool bench?
That's a stool.
A stool? Okay, I don't know.
Let's just so everyone can see the tool bench. I know that's a very small tool bench.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, great bag. I loved it. Great photos too. Great choices. Excellent job.
Great
Good
job.
work.
All right, so that's my outline. So if you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments. I know some of you asked questions already about that Bag Lab segment about my fabric stash in the basement. But if you have additional questions for me, bag making related question about a notion or tool, let me know in the comments either on Facebook or YouTube. Danny has been collecting questions, so I will answer as many as I can live. Before we get over to the questions, I wanted to announce the winner of last week's giveaway, and that winner is Carrie Delano. So congratulations to Carrie. Please email me after the show so that I can get you set up with your prize, and there will be another giveaway at the end of the show tonight. All right, questions. Oh, I see a lot of questions in your list. Janet says, I am just starting my first quilting project. Have you thought about doing quilting tutorials or giving quilting tips? I did. When we first started doing videos, we did do a quilt video, and throughout that process, I realized I just in general, feel more comfortable advising or teaching bags since I feel like I'm more educated in that area. I make quilts for fun, but I don't feel like I'm an expert in any area of quilting. Yeah, I mean, if you do have a particular question and would like to email me privately, I'd be happy to help you. But for now, I guess I'll just stick with bags as far as the tutorial videos and such. Marietta says, do you buy fabric randomly or for specific ideas and purposes? Generally, I'm buying fabric, especially if I'm showing new fabrics on Sewcial Sunday. Generally, I'm just buying it with no specific purpose. For the fabric that I use for the bags that I make for my patterns and videos, I'm generally pulling a fabric from my stash, so I would say 99% of the time I'm not buying a brand new fabric for a pattern or video. It's something from my stash that I already own. Vicky says, how do you handle scraps? I actually use the large size of the Faithwell storage bin, which is a free pattern and video on my website or YouTube channel in case you're interested in that. And so I have the big size for just any old scraps. And then I'm thinking of converting the smaller ones, the rainbow ones behind me, into scraps for each color. I find that I don't have a wide variety of different scraps, at least so far. So for now, I'm just sticking with the big bin. Kathy says, do you use many vinyls in your bags? I do occasionally, but the thing about the bags that I'm making, so I'm usually making 2 bags per pattern. So the first bag I make is the bag that I use when I'm taking my step photos, and oftentimes I have my pattern written already, my pattern piece is drafted, and I'm correcting myself as I sew that first bag while I'm taking the step photos. And so sometimes that involves adjustments to fitting where I have to rip seams, and so it's just easier for me to work with quilting cottons because they're more forgiving and not leaving permanent holes. And then on the video side, when I'm filming the video for a bag, I have in the past incorporated cork or vinyl in the video bag, but I find that sometimes I get a bit sweaty when I'm filming the video because I can't stand how I normally would stand overlooking the sewing machine. I have to stand a little bit back so my head's not blocking the camera, and so that makes me a little nervous when I'm filming a video. And on top of that, if I throw extra thicknesses and things, so basically what I'm trying to say in the video, I'm trying to make it as easy as possible and least amount of stress. I can certainly sew the bag in cork or vinyl, no problem, but when you throw all those other things in there, I just want to make it a little easier for myself, if I'm being honest. Renee says, is that a new Easter egg next to Pickle Rick?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I just noticed you put that up there.
The only person in my immediate family who got me a Christmas present, also known as Violet, bought me, it's a Poppet Mandalorian who's on, it looks like a large, I can't remember what the name of the animal is.
Like a yak looking
yes,
figure?
And he's got the little, it's not Baby Yoda, but it's like of that species. I can't remember his name. I gotta watch the new season. It came out. I gotta refresh myself. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Cindy says, do you keep your backing fabric elsewhere? That's a good question. The backing fabric, I think I have a few of them in my stash. They're not folded on the comic book board just because it gets too bulky when you add too many yards onto the comic book boards, in my opinion. So I just did my best. I took my ruler and I measured the same finished width as the comic book board, and I tried to get the backing fabric folded about the same dimension, obviously because it's not on the board. So I do have a few that were on the shelf, but in my opinion, not ideal. I much prefer the approximately 1 yard pieces on the boards. It just looks more neat and uniform, I guess. Cindy says, to qualify as a Sew Sweetness squad, is the task completing a bag or is it a club with membership? Oh, that's a good idea. I like the idea of the task completing bag. No, it's sort of a. Do you have a
It's
good
like you're
description for
like
it?
a fan club, certain I don't want to say this person because I don't really. It's not my cup of tea, but I'm sure a more famous one would be like Justin Bieber has his Beliebers. It's like your fan club almost. Like you're part of
Oh, the group,
the crew
crew. Yeah, I like that.
or the squad.
Dee says, do you have or need a humidifier in your fabric storage area? Can you answer this question?
Our basement's not really a humid area. I know a lot of basements. Sarah's parents, for instance, do keep a humidifier running in their basement. I think all year round. Our basement's pretty dry. It's not a need
But
for us.
that's a good notation in case that is an issue with your
Yeah,
basement.
if you have a musty, mildewy basement.
Yeah, you don't want your fabric to get icky. Kathy says, do you use a serger for anything in bag making? I personally don't, but I've seen around the Facebook group people commenting about using a serger for attaching, say, the fabric to the foam interfacing because it kind of flattens things out a little bit, things like that. Jessie says, Sarah, have you made any clothes lately? That's a good question, and sadly, I think it's been
Been a
maybe
while.
3 years since I last made an article of clothing.
She was pretty heavy into it for a while.
Yeah, I was heavy into it for a while.
So many hours in the day, right?
Yeah. Lynn says, what size are your boards again? They are, I have one right here, 7 inches by 10.5 inches, and the link to my comic book board folding video is in the description. So if you want to see me demonstrate the whole process, putting the fabric on the board. It's been a while since we shot this video, but I think I discussed different cuts of fabric, how I would fold it and put it on the board so it looks nice. Check the link in the description and you can find that video there.
Does that also show where you can get them?
Not in when you watch the video for my process, it's in that particular video, the link to the boards. Yep. Carla says, finishing the triple threat, having a hard time with closing the edge around the zipper and getting the Decoville heavy in. Closing the edge around the zipper. I'm not sure if that means your Decoville is not going in flat, or feel free to email me after the show. My email is sarah@sewsweetness.com. That's Sarah with no H. Julie says, what bag would you recommend to sew with a 7-year-old? Something easy.
Pouch. Persimmons.
Oh, yeah, pouch would be a good one.
A fast sew, so they'd be interested, something that doesn't take too long, so they'd be involved more. I think something might take longer, you may lose interest.
The persimmon dumpling pouch is a free pattern and video, which you can find on YouTube or on my website.
I haven't made one.
My suggestion is whenever there's a pattern that comes in multiple sizes,
Make the larger size.
Yes, the larger size is generally the easiest out of the 3. So I think sometimes it's a little misleading. You think the smaller one will somehow be
Gives you
easier.
more room to work, not such tight, confined spaces.
Good job, Danny. Tammy says, do you have extra insurance for your fabrics? We probably should, right?
I guess. I'm not sure that.
We do have
At
business.
least we have video proof now.
Oh yeah, good one on that. We do have insurance for our business, but maybe we could somehow add the fabric. I don't know
what the value of your fabric. You ever calculate it?
I don't think I want to know.
A lot of people were surprised how much fabric you had. They're like, oh my god, that's so much fabric.
Yeah, it's a little embarrassing.
You have given a lot of fabric away as well, too, to be honest.
Yeah, I probably need to give some more away, though. CJ says, how do you store your zippers, for instance, different sizes? So I have, a few years ago, I talked about, on the Notion of the Week, I think it was, I bought on Amazon these tie racks, like for men's neckties, and they have pegs, maybe 20 or so pegs on each one. I have 2 of them, and I have them stuck to the side of this table, actually, with command strips, and then I have the zippers just kind of slung over each of the pegs. The zippers are bundled with rubber band by color, and that's how I have the zippers in different sizes. That's how I have those organized. I do have a drawer for my zippers by the yard, and I also have a sort of like a hanger for the zippers by the yard, and I also have plastic containers with lids for zippers by the yard. So zippers, yeah, I have a few different methods for storing the zippers. Marion says, Danny, you don't want to know, yeah, the value of the fabrics.
Yeah, they want to know if this was also a picture of smudge on the. It just happened to be a white horse.
Yeah, this is a Christmas gift from, I think, last Christmas from my friend Dorota. Oh, thank you, Danny. I'd love to find a way to include my inhaler in each pattern that I make so I can have that as an option for others with the same needs. Susan near Chicago. I guess I'll have to think about that one because an inhaler is more three-dimensional.
We are asthmatic, so we happen to have inhalers.
Yeah, we both use inhalers. Email me for Bag Lab unless you need an immediate response. The instructions for Bag Lab submissions are in the description of the show, so you can find out all the information for submitting that. And I hope you do submit that because that would be a great idea.
Hold on. People said, Teresa said, be proud of your stash. Another person said, don't be embarrassed about admiring your fabric. We need it. That's from Linda S.
Thanks,
Everyone's
guys.
encouraging Sarah on her stash.
Oh, thank you very much. I guess in my defense, I have been collecting for about 10 years at least, so...
Dee says, just look at your fabric as an artist looks at their supplies, tools, or mediums. Just a massive fabric collection. That's how she justifies hers.
Gloria says, request for Danny. Could you do an overview on navigating your website on viewing purchase tutorials? Well, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I guess we could maybe like screen record it, but it would be different for each device.
Oh, that's
we
true.
wouldn't have support for every device because I don't have all devices that we use unless we went and purchased them. I'm into tech stuff. Maybe we could do it. Depends how much Sarah wants it done.
If you're ever stuck and you don't need that, and you don't know how to find something on the website, you can always email us, and we'd be either.
I think we have a little
or Danny.
tutorial, don't we? How to find links and.
We do. It's if you're looking for instructions on how to access your account, you can go to sewsweetness.com/video-access-instructions. I know that's a lot to remember, but feel free to email me, and I'm happy to get you the link for that.
She's about viewing her purchase tutorials, and that would be.
Or if you'd rather not do what I just said, if you go to the website, on the top right hand corner, there should be a little icon of like a person's torso. That's your account. So if you click on that, then you'll be able to sign in. Hopefully that helps. Jen says, would you consider doing a leather bag in the future or just a tutorial on what linings, needles, tips, and tricks to use with heavier fabric?
Would that be the same as cork?
I'll write that down, but a lot of the same principles that I use for sewing cork fabric, I would also use for leather. And actually, it was our very first video, sewing with cork fabric. So if you would like to check that out, it is over on the YouTube channel. Erica says, do you use waterproof canvas in any of your bags? Is it difficult to sew? Any tips or special needle required? So I do have a piece of OtterTex waterproof canvas in my stash. I haven't used it for a bag yet, and I'm not sure if I will, at least for a pattern or video bag, just because I would use different interfacing for that in that case. And sometimes in the videos, people notice when I use different interfacings than called for in the instructions, and so it throws them off a little bit. So I'm not sure if I'll use it in a pattern or video bag, but it's super popular. I see people talking about it all the time in our Sew Sweetness Facebook group. Waterproof canvas, the brand, like I said, the brand that I've purchased before is the OtterTex waterproof canvas. It's really nice, comes in lots of fun colors also. Madeline says, what model is your Juki machine? So I have 3 Jukis. They're basically the same. The Juki TL 2010Q is the first one. I also have the Juki 2200 QVP Mini. And then the newest one is the Juki TL 18 QVP. If you're choosing between the 3 and you have a little bit of flexibility in your budget, I think you'll want to look at the TL 18 QVP. I have videos on all 3 on my YouTube channel. If you just type in on YouTube in the So Sweetness channel in the search box. If you just type in Juki, I think that those videos should come up.
Shout out to So Many Things as well.
So Many Things provided the Juki TL 18 QVP so that I could review that on the show, and it comes with three new features. The micro lifter is the most important. The micro lifter helps you
Layers and bulkiness.
deal with different layers of fabric, such as when you're top stitching the top area edge of the bag. Like the front and the back is sort of a more consistent layer, and then when you get to the side seam, you're probably aware, usually when you get to the side seam of the bag, the layer gets thick all of a sudden and then goes back down, so the micro lifter helps get an even stitch all the way around. Joan says, my dad gave me a Cricut maker. Congratulations on your new Cricut. I cut fabric for 2 Hackney pouches, and it was fantastic. Thanks for including those files. I'm so happy that you're happy with your new Cricut maker. We do have SVG files, which are used in electric cutting machines like the Cricut, available for some patterns. And if you'd like to see which patterns are available with SVG files, you can check in our pattern shop in the pattern section. There's a sub tab for SVG files, and all of those patterns that have that availability will pop up, and the SVG files are added to those files at no extra cost. Juliet says, have you given any thought to attending the So Magical Expo in Florida this November?
If Sarah won't go, I will go. Count
it's
me
in
in.
November, huh?
I want to go on vacation.
Could that
so
be
bad.
a birthday trip? We haven't been to Disney. We haven't been on vacation in like 4 years, so maybe we could do that in November. I'm gonna write that down.
Yep.
Could we really?
I would totally be in.
That would be super
No
awesome.
questions.
That would be awesome. Laura says, question for Danny. Do you have a comic books collection?
Yes. I started collecting comic books when I was probably about 12 to 13. And it's funny because our local Sears had in the basement a comic book collection store, or a hobby store that carried comic books and cards and whatnot. And when they went out of business, my dad purchased, like in the last week they're open, like, I don't know, he spent a lot of money, but he bought like maybe 1,000 comic books for like 75% off. And so at my mom's house still, there's boxes and boxes of comic books. I offered my kids to go there and if they want to go through and read some of them, but the interest was not there. My son's more into anime and manga, which is the equivalent to the anime.
What was your favorite character? Did
You know
have
what's
a favorite?
funny? I collected comic books to collect them. I barely read them, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't really. I didn't want to damage them or cause any harm to them by reading them. I didn't find reading them was as enjoyable as I thought it would be. But I loved collecting baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, and my friends got into comic book cards, so I followed suit. And then I think my most valued one's like a early 1970s Amazing Spider-Man, and I have 3 of them, and I think they're about like $100 a piece.
Interesting. Simone says, Sarah, did you say that you have a tutorial for baskets? Oh, yes. It's the Faithwell storage bin. So I'm sure if you just Google Faithwell storage bin, that should come up, and it's a free pattern and video. Evelyn says, do you ever get fabric designers give you fabric to check out? I know you say in the beginning you pay for everything in the show. It's been how many years? Maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe more, probably 4 or 5 years since I got like free fabric. It was very flattering at the time, especially in the beginning when fabric companies would offer to send me free fabric, but I realized over time that it was more stressful for me because they'd send me
Short
fabric
windows.
and then I would feel obligated to use it or to make it into a project, and it became a little bit overwhelming. So that's why I say on the show that I pay for pretty much everything that I talk about, because I just like to work at my own pace and not have things like that hanging over my head. So I'd rather buy the fabric, and then in case I decide not to use it for a bag, maybe I thought I was going to use it for a bag, but then I changed my mind and there was a better fabric. I just like that freedom to be able to choose what's best for the bag, if that makes sense. I know that sounds a little silly.
I think all the fabric makers should send me the fabric, then we could talk about it on the show, and then we could give it away. That'd be even better. We don't have to make anything out of it. So if you're a fabric company, send it to Danny at sewsweetness.com. I'll gladly take it and give it away on the show, I promise.
Kathy says, is there a way on a purchased video to hold your place? My iPhone times me out from time to time. I'm not sure, to be honest. If you have to restart your phone, I don't know if that's the case.
I think she's using her phone to watch the tutorial, and then the phone goes black or something. And when she goes, maybe it times
Oh,
out
is
when
it
she's
not?
sewing.
Oh,
The question is, will it save her place when she last viewed the video and comes back to it? Will it be in the exact same spot?
I wasn't aware that. I guess I'm just not familiar with that, but you can in your settings. Can you explain in your cell phone settings how to change the
Well, that would be under every phone's different.
briefly, yeah.
Roughly, if you go to settings, then display, and then it should have a section for timeout. So after 30 seconds, after 5 minutes, you can set it to never timeout even. Maybe while you're doing
Or 30
that,
minutes or
yeah,
whatever.
I mean, just while you're doing that, I would turn it off to never and let it, using it while you're working. And then when you're done, just reapply your original setting.
That's a good one.
I have mine currently to 30 seconds and timeout, just because it saves your battery. Long story short.
However, if for whatever reason you need to get back to the approximate section, the videos are all timestamped, so you can just look and see what step you were on, and then just there's a bar on the bottom of the video, and click that step number, and it should take you back to at least the section you were on, if not the exact same spot. Diane says, when making the Clydebank tote and using cork just for the sides, do I need foam interfacing for the sides? So it depends on what you like. So I did use cork for 2 of my Clydebank totes for the sides, and I did use the same interfacing as called for in the pattern. But one of my friends either used no interfacing or used a lighter interfacing, like maybe batting or fusible fleece. Not fusing it, just machine basting it. So that's sort of a softer look, but the cork is pretty substantial. So you can go either the same interfacing like I did, or something a little bit different, like maybe a fleece or a batting. Charlie says, is that Danny with no H? That's funny, Charlie.
Yep, that'll be the last comment of the show.
All right, I apologize if I did not get your question live, but I will be back again next Sunday. And I have to say, I had great fun preparing the Bag Lab segment for tonight. So if you have an idea for me, again, check that.
Hold a second.
Yep.
Kathy says it's not on the phone, but the video. Kathy, I think you need to send an email to Danny at Sewsweetness with no H, and let me know, are you pausing the video, then it times out, or while you're viewing the video, it times out? Because maybe I'll look into it and see if we can find out what the issue is.
Yeah, let's get this figured out, Kathy. All right, what was I saying? Oh, instructions for submitting to Bag Lab are in the description, so please read that over, and if you have an idea, make sure you submit it. Please don't, if you intend for your idea to be on Bag Lab, don't just type it in the comments right now. Read the instructions, because I'll need you to email that to me, so make sure you do that if you have a good idea. And giveaway for tonight is going to be...
I love the name Bag Lab, by the way.
I don't know, just... like I said, I woke up at 2 a.m. and it just popped into my head. All right, so I'm going to give away these 6 pieces of fabric from my stash.
Well,
I'll hold them up. Wait, I'll hold them up one
I think
at a
that one's
time.
mine, isn't it?
Which one's yours?
Star Wars or something?
No, I don't have any Star Wars here.
Oh, you're lucky.
You're mistaken. Okay.
You're lucky, Sarah.
The giveaway is these 6 pieces of fabric plus
Ooh,
a
cool.
$15 gift certificate to sewsweetness.com. So I'll hold the fabrics up so you could see them. There's this one.
Well, this dog one's cool.
It's blurry. Here.
Because you're hogging the camera, sir. These are cool fabrics. Sure you want to give them away?
Yeah, I love all the fabric, but
I like these particularly, actually.
I'm not saying I don't love these. I just this one right here.
At least half of those I like.
I like all of them. Anyway.
I was kidding.
And so it's the fabric plus the $15 gift certificate, and I will draw one randomly drawn winner out of all of the comments that we've received on the show through the end of the day Saturday. We combine all the comments from Facebook and YouTube, and I'll announce the winner on next Sunday's show. I have an additional question for you to answer in the comments, and my question is, what simple thing made today a good day for you? So let me know that in the comments. What did I write down today? Today I wrote down, this was my journal entry for today. So I wrote down, I was so excited because the Blue Jays started visiting. I put out some food over the winter for the birds. Blue Jays finally started visiting over all year long. I hear them like on the perimeter of the yard, and they finally started visiting to pick up some peanuts. So I was like ecstatic earlier today. So that's my simple thing that I'm grateful for today. How about you?
I don't really think about this
I know I'm
one.
putting you on the spot.
All the wonderful comments about my Snoopy shirt.
Yay.
Thank you, everyone, for the
Sounds
wonderful
good.
comments.
Thank you so much for watching Sewcial Sunday. I hope you have a great week and happy sewing. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.